moved to New York to become an intern on Wall Street when I was about 26 years old. I had to walk away from a very lucrative career with no guarantees of anything. It's not like I could work, keep making money, and build this as a side hustle, right? Situations happen where I've lost like 7 figures in a day. You know, I'm not saying that I'm a Jeff Bezos, but I mean, they burned $3 billion before they got to profitability. Think of the stock market as a grocery store, right? People work at the grocery store. They go in, they buy things, right? Other people come in and they sell things to the grocery store. Stirlingshire has made it so that the people who work at the grocery store make more money, and the people who go in there to buy and sell things, it costs them less to do so.
Welcome to The Business Game,
a podcast that moves the needle.
Okay, before we jump back in, a quick shout out to SmoothX. Imagine all your business platforms talking to each other seamlessly. Accounting, CRMs, project management software. That's exactly what SmoothX does. Their integrations save you time, reduce errors, and keep your data accurate across the board.
The best part? Getting started is fast and easy. Their onboarding takes less than 30 minutes. So you can be fully operational in no time. And if you want to support the show while exploring SmoothX for your business, check out the link in the description.
SmoothX makes life simpler, smarter, and way more efficient. All right, back to the episode. Hello and welcome to The Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle. I'm Steve Plummer.
I'm Lisa DeAngelis.
Now, before we get started today, make sure you like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Today, we're joined by Stephen Woods, founder and CEO of Stirlingshire Investments. Hi, Stephen. How are you going?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, folks.
A great first name, by the way.
Yeah, our pleasure. Our pleasure to have you. First of all, so Stephen, can you tell us a bit about yourself and also about Stirlingshire?
So born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, moved to New York to become an intern on Wall Street when I was about 26 years old. Started at the literal very bottom, and did everything along the way to get to where I am now. Pretty colorful journey from there to here. And so Stirlingshire, basically, I built it to solve a problem for myself initially, which is I felt like the firms were taking advantage of the employees, and then that culture was rolling downhill to take advantage of the clients. So basically, I built a system that I wish existed that allows us to pay the advisors more than every other firm in the entire industry.
Amazing.
And not necessarily have to rely on, focus, not necessarily have to rely on how much money we can have the advisors charge the clients in order for the firm to make our revenue. So just kind of going about things in a different manner.
Yeah, amazing. Now, just for absolute clarity, obviously there's sort of a lot of, mystery around finance and investments. Yes. If you were, for anyone who's listening that has absolutely no ideas, total beginner to this world, how would you explain Stirlingshire and what you do to a 5-year-old? Take us to the basics.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm talking to a 5-year-old, I might say something along the lines of, think of it, this is a weird way to explain it, but think of the stock market as a grocery store, right? People work at the grocery store. They go in, they buy things, right? Other people come in and they sell things to the grocery store. Stirlingshire has made it so that the people who work at the grocery store make more money, and the people who go in there to buy and sell things, it costs them less to do so. Right.
Okay.
So that's kind of what we've done here is kind of made that more efficient and just tried to make everything a little bit better for everybody involved on the client and the advisor side. Yeah,
amazing. Where did the name come from? Tell us about that.
Sure. So my middle name is Mackie, right? Mackie originates from Stirlingshire, Scotland. And Stirlingshire, Scotland is where William Wallace, the real one from Braveheart, won a large battle against the British military back in the day. So it's like the little guy versus the big guy.
Nice.
That's kind of where that came from. And it doesn't sound so crazy. In the United States, for a firm to be called Stirlingshire because it sounds kind of prestigious.
Yes.
If I named my firm Omaha, it might sound a little bit odd, but here it works okay.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, love that.
So let's dive into that a little bit more then, Stephen. You've said you're on a mission to disrupt the asset management industry. So what's the biggest thing that still drives you crazy about how finance works today?
What drives me crazy is the fact that, like I was trying to explain quickly, from a cultural standpoint, the firms try and suck as much revenue out of their employees as possible, right? Just to benefit the shareholders. And that culture then rolls downhill where we see advisors, a lot of times, this is my personal opinion, taking advantage of clients by, basically just closet indexing them and things like that. And a lot of the financial services space, the number one goal right now is just keep your clients happy enough that they don't leave, right? Because now whenever things go up, I'm a genius. Whenever things go down, it's the market, right? And as long as I can stay right around whatever the market's doing, that's probably a pretty good way to keep everybody just happy enough. And in reality, that is just operating kind of like a tax on the client's portfolio. So that's kind of irritates me, and that's kind of what we're trying to solve here.
Yeah, right. So how long have you been operating in Stirlingshire? And obviously, for a new business, and especially as that sort of Braveheart analogy, the big business and the little guy. What was that process like of sort of stepping out and beginning on your own? Did you have any kind of stumbling moments where you were like, "What am I doing?" Or has it kind of been smooth sailing? You were so committed to the cause.
Well, I am a little bit of a maniac where I don't let anything slow me down whatsoever. I've had some pretty crazy things get thrown at me, maybe I made a couple hiring decisions that I wish I would have taken back in the beginning, right? Also, knowing what I know now, there's probably a couple other business lines I would have put in at the very beginning, so I don't have to go back and add these business lines later. But probably the scariest thing was, having to walk away from my entire business in order to start this business.
Right.
Because I couldn't be a financial advisor at another firm while setting up this company.
Okay.
Right? So I had to walk away from a very lucrative career with no guarantees of anything. It's not like I could work, keep making money, and build this as a side hustle, right?
Yes.
This was something that, from a regulatory perspective, it was kind of like you had to burn the boats from day one.
Right.
Yeah. That's certainly an interesting
that sounds
journey.
Very stressful. Yeah. I mean, well, it also kind of puts your feet to the fire a little bit and I guess also makes you make things happen, no opportunity to rest on your laurels.
Yeah. And just on that, what would be a one of, if not the most expensive mistake that you made? Because we all know that business, it's not plain sailing. So, and that's often the moments where we learn the most. So when I say that, what stands out for you?
So my most expensive mistake I've ever made.
I love that little laugh, right? There's something interesting coming. Yeah.
There's things that happen in life where bad things happen and they cost you money, right? I've had a couple of those situations happen where I've lost 7 figures in a day.
Wow.
But there's also the times whenever you've been right, but you haven't listened to yourself.
Right.
And it just ended up costing you enormous sums. I was buying NVIDIA at $26 about 10, 12 years ago. I sold it at 62, thought I was a genius. And now, I've had many situations like that where it's cost, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, right.
So,
oh my gosh, I guess when you're working with money, the stakes are a lot higher, aren't they? I think I felt my blood run cold. 7 figures in a day.
Yeah. How well did you sleep that night when you lost the 7 figures in the day? Was that a sound night's sleep or not?
No, I mean, it's all relative, right? There's other days you make that, right?
Yeah.
But it's yeah, there's a couple little hiccups in the very beginning, cost a good deal of money, but you learn from these things, and you just it makes your business better.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned earlier about making some hiring mistakes. What did that teach you about hiring people moving forward?
Yeah, so the people I have on around me, they are world class, right? Like, my board members are like, one's the former president of Robinhood from the time it was founded, right? One's built a couple unicorns himself. My CTO, he's the former global head of technology for State Street and former director of the London Stock Exchange.
Wow.
I mean, I have serious world-class people around me, but the hiring mistakes I made was kind of getting too in love with that resume, right? And I hired a couple people that had just beautiful resumes on paper, right? And they were world-class talent, but the wrong kind of talent, right? Yeah. They weren't the right kind for the business that I was running, right? They were the right kind to operate at a legacy firm. They've and these were people in foreign roles, and it took me 6-8 months to realize that. But once that was realized, we made adjustments, and we're much better for it.
Yeah, awesome. I think that actually, interestingly, that's probably the most common. Obviously, we speak to people from all different kinds of businesses, all different levels of business as well. People who are just starting and people who are really deep in. And that is the most common issue, I think, as far as hiring, is that if somebody, we hear it all the time. I think I've mentioned it before, but we had the CEO of a massive marketing company here in Australia, a woman named Lauren Oakes, on, and she said her worst hiring mistake was pretty much the same thing. This guy who she thought, he's going to know more than any of us about anything. He's the guy that we need. Yeah. Hired him, but just totally the wrong fit for the culture, and upended things in quite a serious way. I think she said something like, we had him for 3 weeks, which in hindsight was 2.5 weeks longer than we should have had him.
Yeah.
And I thought, I feel
that's a good line, right? It's a really good line. Yeah.
Very cutting, that poor man. I hope he never sees that interview. Yeah. But I think that actually is the most common thing that we hear. And do you know what? On the note of you're sort of talking about obviously this real kind of lack of transparency in finance, and you're kind of really interested in transparency and fairness and in creating that in Stirlingshire. Obviously these are not words that are usually associated with finance. Why do you think why do you think the industry has been able to go on being so opaque for such a long time?
Well, because there's a lot of value in knowledge, right? And if you can at least make the appearance that there's some special knowledge out there, right, that only you have, and in order to get this knowledge, to benefit from it, you have to either pay me a lot of money, right, to gain this knowledge, or you have to work your way up through the ranks to attain this knowledge, right? And the people at the top of this pyramid make a lot of money selling or securing this knowledge. And if it's just a level playing field for everybody, then suddenly more of this capital is not hidden behind the country club hedges, right? And it's disseminated more broadly across everyone in the neighborhood, right? And that helps everyone out here, but it hurts the people at the top of the pyramid,
right? So
they do everything to kind of protect their seat up atop the golden or the ivory tower, if you will.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just on that, I'm interested because not everything works, and my analysis and all those things can make accurate-ish predictions about which way the stock market's going to go, or property, or whatever it might be. But no one gets it right all the time. No one's that good, right?
Sure.
Yeah. How do you, I guess, set clients up for their expectation that not everything will work? Because, like you said, it's that secret. I'm coming to you. You're the guru. You're the magic pill that I want to make me a whole lot of money. How do you manage those expectations?
So, I got to be careful what I say here because, I am a FINRA regulated person, right? So I can't go about giving individual recommendations.
Yeah.
But what I can say is what we like to do is we like to just be honest with them. Like, we're going to be wrong half the time, right?
Yeah.
And if the issue here is when we're wrong, we'd like to try and, adjust what we're doing quickly, right? And whenever we're right, we like to, best way to understand this is if we're wrong 50% of the time and something makes us, 30 to 40% every time we're right, and we're wrong 50% of the time and we lose, 10%, right? This just means we're going to make money over time.
Yes.
That's from a trading perspective. Buy and hold is a little different, right? I'm not going to get into like how we should pick stocks because I don't want the SEC to come knocking at my door saying that I'm saying something I shouldn't. But that's kind of how we kind of set them up to just be prepared that we're going to be wrong.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah,
but just whenever we're wrong, we try to take into consideration risk management. Around those situations.
And what would you say is a money truth that most people get wrong? What springs to mind?
People tend to think that the future is going to be rosy, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And that is the biggest. That is the biggest thing I think that people get wrong about money is they think that the future is going to somehow be much better than the present or the past, right? And they think, I'm going to have so much more money in the future because something, great things are going to happen, right? You just listen. If you kind of, what I tell people is to over capitalize for the future. Like whatever you think you're going to need, I tell them whatever you think you're going to need, get 3 times as much, right? Try to put 3 times as much away, right? That's what I tell people.
Yeah, right. 3 times as much. That's a really helpful nugget, I think.
Yep.
If you think I need $1 million to retire, get 3.
Get 3.
Because that's where you're going to be in the future.
Yeah, right.
It's an interesting perspective, right? As we think it's going to be rosy, and it may not be.
I think that's interesting. I think that actually is true. I think that, you have this general sense of like, I don't know what I'm doing now, but I'll know what I'm doing later. It'll kind of come good, What with that 3 times as much, is that based on, say, inflation, the way the world moves or what have you, or is it based on is it the safety net wanting, budgeting for 3 times as much?
It's inflation. It's the fact that people are living a lot longer, right?
Right.
Imagine 10 years from now, I think the medical advancements you're going to see a lot more people living to 100 than you are right now.
Yeah.
And, if you have in your mind, I'm going to retire at 65, you're going to have so many more years that you're going to need to live off of, right?
Hey guys, quick pause to talk about Opus Clip, one of my favorite tools for creating content without the stress. If you've ever spent hours editing videos wishing there was an easier way, Opus Clip is your solution.
Their AI engine takes your raw clips and turns them into share-ready videos in under a minute. No editing skills required, no headaches, no endless hours at your computer.
Seriously, it's like having a professional editor in your pocket. You can create more content, experiment with formats, and share it instantly, all while saving a ton of time.
And if you want to get started with a great sign-up bonus while supporting the show, just use the link in the description.
All right, back to today's episode. We're about to drop more insights you won't want to miss.
All right, so what happens when a client comes to you, Stephen? Like, what's the process you generally go through with them to onboard them and set them up for the future?
So I'm in a different situation. Like, I really don't deal with clients anymore because I deal with the actual financial advisors. But
Yes.
So my job is to hire financial advisors to work at the firm, right? But typically what we're going to do is we're going to onboard them. We're going to talk to them. We're going to understand their risk tolerance, their investment objectives, future goals, and things like that. And then the advisors, they're either going to use their decades of experience, right, to formulate a plan, or they're going to use our AI tools to help rip through the client's portfolio, risk tolerance, everything, and come up with a plan, or at least build the framework for one, and then discuss asset allocation and things like that with them, so that they can get to a comfort level. And whenever I talk about AI, I'm super excited about AI. A lot of firms, they're leaning into it, and they're leaning into it in a way where they're thinking about, how do we replace the financial advisors?
Right.
Stirlingshire is looking into it as, how do we make the advisors so much more efficient that they can handle more clients than they ever thought humanly possible? The reason for this is because so many financial advisors are retiring every year, right? And there's not this huge wave of younger ones coming to replace them.
Right.
It's just not happening, right? And so you have the pool of advisors dropping. The clients really are dropping. It's increasing. Right. It's increasing. So you get in a situation where, if you're a client, you're kind of either forced into like a robo-advisory type thing, where you kind of put your money in there and the computer just does everything. But if you're a higher net worth, client, even if you're like a JP Morgan or something like that, and you only got a couple $1 million, you might not get access to a real human, like actually to deal with it. And so we're just trying to level the playing field for everybody involved.
Yeah, awesome.
I was going to ask you about, you mentioned AI. I was going to ask you about how disruptive it's been, and how you are and your business is dealing with it. So have you got anything else to add more than what you mentioned there?
Yeah. So we utilize AI in some pretty impressive ways, as far as everything from client acquisition to portfolio reviews, meeting notes. Like, we have systems that listen to your conversations and automatically put the important parts in the notes and things like that. So, like, if a client says to me, or my advisor, I'd like to buy a home for one of my kids in 3 years, that is a super important thing that should definitely be in the notes. The AI systems will hear this, it'll automatically put it in the notes. So maybe a year passes. As the advisor, I might have forgot that the client said this to me. There's a bunch of notes in there. When I go to do a portfolio review with the AI tool, it's automatically going to look at their risk tolerance, investment objectives, suitability, all that stuff. It's going to look at the notes, and it might say, well, because Mr. Smith wants to buy a home for one of his children in now 2 years, I suggest you do X, Y, and Z. Here's why I think you should do it, right? And so that's a way for the advisor to kind of just be reminded and take that into consideration whenever reevaluating the plan in another year or so.
Amazing. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'd like to just change gears for a second and talk a little bit about running a business. I mean, you've studied at Harvard and Oxford. What's something those institutions didn't or don't teach you about running a business in the real world? I'm curious about that.
Also very impressive, by the way.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and not to diss any of either of those institutions, but they are academic institutions.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Steve has a background as a teacher, so very close. Yeah, very close to his heart.
Nice, I love it. So I would say they don't teach you the personal, the personal relationship skills necessary to really handle people. Right? They might talk about it in class. but there's nothing that can actually teach you those soft skills,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're dealing with people, they can teach you all the numbers, right? And all the formulas, but they're not going to be able to teach you to not quit.
Right.
They're not going to be able to teach you to understand whenever people are having a bad day,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're in a simulated environment there, right? And so they're not going to be able to really teach you about the real world.
Mm-hmm. From everything we were sort of talking about, in your opinion, if we're talking about, financial advisors in a typical sense, it doesn't sound so at Stirlingshire, but in a general sense, it sort of sounds maybe like financial advisors are also just kind of salespeople. Would that be true or false?
I would consider them Sherpas. You're paying them money
Yeah.
to guide you to someplace and make sure that you don't die.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's what I would. So yes, they are salespeople.
Yeah.
But in life, we're all selling something.
It's true.
Yeah. And we try to remove. There's obviously no way to completely get rid of it, right? Let's be clear about that. But we try our hardest to eliminate as much of the conflict of interest around the sales process as possible.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas, there's really, people don't understand this. There's two different types of entities that exist. There's RIAs, which charge a management fee like 1% a year, right? Those people typically have some sort of conflict where, like I was explaining, they want to just kind of make sure that the money's kind of staying around whatever the market's doing, right? Their conflict is, I don't want to stray too far up or down because I just want to keep everybody happy and make sure the money doesn't leave me so I can keep 1% of it every year. Yeah. And then there's the broker dealer side, which is where registered reps charge commission on the buy side, charge commission on the sell side, right? And obviously there's an inherent conflict of interest there because I want you to move the money because when you move the money, I get money, right? But with Stirlingshire, we're trying to reduce that conflict by tying the compensation, at least on the advice on demand model, tying that compensation directly to the outcome of the specific advice that's being given. So rather than just getting paid just to have money, it's getting paid whenever we're actually making you money.
I'm curious as well, the app that you developed, it's an integral part of what you guys do. Talk us through that process. Did that go through many iterations? Was it a difficult process? And at the flip side of that, how has it changed your business?
So it's a constant evolving process, right? So it's been through tons of iterations, and it will continue to improve over time. It's really changed how clients interact, right? Because 90% of our clients right now, our clients are coming with the financial advisors from other firms, right? These people used to just have a guy or a gal and they give them their money and they get their statements in the mail once a month or once a quarter, right? And they see, did I make some money or did I lose some money? Now, with our app, it's changing how they interact with their advisors because now they can see everything in the palm of their hand at any given time. They can actually execute trades from their palm of their hand, which a lot of firms that these advisors came from previously couldn't do, right? So what it's also doing is it's allowing them to bring in other accounts that advisor might not have had previously. So a lot of times clients, they might have like $1 million or $2 million with the financial advisor, and then they'll have like 100,000 or $250,000 in a E-Trade account or something like that, where they're just doing it themselves. And now they're able to bring those two accounts under one household and get help with that other account as well under that advice on demand model. So this is kind of just changing things up for the clients.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Where did the idea of that come from?
That's exactly what I was about to ask.
Yeah. So I'd had I was a decent producer. I was making a pretty good amount of money, but I couldn't understand why I was paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to go to work whenever I was doing all the work, right? I was doing all that client acquisition, asset allocation, and things like that. And so initially, I thought to myself, there's got to be a way to build a system that allows me, the financial advisor, to keep a lot more money. Right?
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
how a lot of businesses are first start off, somebody trying to solve a problem for themselves, right? So that was my problem. Like, why am I paying so much? Like, I didn't understand it. So it quickly evolved to, I quickly understood that, that's $1 billion business as we continue to scale. It's not $100 billion business because nobody really cares if financial advisors make more money. $100 billion business is how do you make the asset management model better for clients, right? And so I realized, we can't just make it better for advisors. It has to be better for clients, and it's right in our tagline: Stirlingshire, better for clients, better for advisors.
Yep.
Right. And so clients obviously taking the first seat in the rowboat there. So yeah, it just became like, okay, how am I going to improve it for clients? And how I was going to improve it for clients is, I'll explain, not charge them unless we're actually making the money on the broker dealer side. And then it just became like, how do we build compliance infrastructure into this to kind of automate a lot of this stuff to make it so that advisors can't do things that are nefarious, or at least reduce the risk of them being able to do things that are nefarious as much as possible. And that's where the app kind of came into play.
Yeah. And
That's awesome.
how long did it take you to develop that from that light bulb moment to first iteration in the marketplace?
Yeah. So in the United States, the regulators are very thorough. And when I started building in late 2020, that was in the height of COVID. Right. And so everyone was working from home. And FINRA's process is normally like 6 to 9 months, but it ended up taking from inception through FINRA approval, it ended up taking like 2.5 years.
Oh my
before
gosh.
we were able to do our first real money test trade. Right. So I quit my job, walked away, had basically just doing nothing, but besides focused on this, just to get to a point 2.5 years later where we could do my first real money test trade. And then year one was kind of just me and a couple friends operating in stealth mode, just working the kinks out of the technology and things of that nature, and making sure everything was working well. And then we really started hiring in earnest in January of 2024.
Right.
Awesome.
That's when we started hiring.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that process of the 2.5 years when you've already are so aware that you've quit your job, you're now at home all the time, COVID's happening, and you're just watching this, was that process excruciating of waiting for it to go through? Or were you just so sure that you had the right idea and, we'll just get there when we get there?
Well, that's right, because the future's uncertain, right?
Yeah.
No one knows.
Yeah, the future is uncertain for sure. I kept myself busy. at Harvard in 2021.
Right.
So that was I was doing two things. I was building Stirlingshire and going there.
Oh my God, what a year.
Yeah, crazy. I knew immediately that I was onto something when I started talking. Well, first off, I'd worked with hundreds and hundreds of advisors for years and thousands of clients. And so I understood intimately what everyone wants, right? From both sides of the picture. But I really understood quickly that I was onto something, because when I talked to other people in finance, very high level people, I only got two reactions ever. It was either, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I want to be part of it. How can I be part of it? I will quit my job and come work for you immediately, which I have lots of world-class people who were getting paid millions of dollars who came and worked for me for peanuts.
Amazing.
Or the other one was, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Why would you not keep more of the asset management fees that the advisors are generating for yourself? Like it was either I love it, I want to be involved, or the more greedy type people are like, why would you give away all that revenue when it could just be profit for the firm? So
why
they kind of two different sides of the
why did the good voices win out in the end?
Well, because lightness always defeats dark.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the good voices, they've won out so far. There's a lot more left to go in this story, right?
Yeah.
When you think about what Robinhood did to the discount broker dealer, everyone was charging like $15 a trade 12 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Robinhood came out and they said, we're going to charge $0. And everyone kind of looked at them like they're crazy. But then over the next, 5 to 7 years, every single self-directed trading firm had to change their model to kind of do what Robinhood was doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing now, there's a lot of firms out there that could do what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But until I get big enough, and until we're just, gaining headcount so quickly and stealing market share from them, they're not going to, right? Because why would they? Why would they? And there's a lot of middle management through all these big firms that would see their jobs kind of go away, or at least be, their headcount be cut dramatically. Where you're going to have a lot of people within these big organizations fighting them tooth and nail, fighting that change tooth and nail.
Yeah. I think also anytime you have a strong reaction from people, I think what you don't want is a lukewarm one, honestly. If you have a strong reaction that is incredible or I hate it, terrible, I think either way, that is the sign that what you're doing is probably the right move for you,
agreed.
It means you're onto a good idea. And I guess
that's
also
100% right.
Yeah, with what we've got you, I would love to ask some sort of. I know, obviously,
this is not financial advice.
This is not. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Disclaimer: this is not financial advice. Yeah,
it's a piece of mindset advice. I was going to ask.
Yeah.
As far as one actionable, immediate mindset shift that can help someone make smarter money moves if they're a total beginner. In business or in finance, what would that mindset shift be for you?
If they're a total beginner, what I see is a lot of people have failure to launch, right? They just don't start, right? They might think that they need to do something, and they might know that they need to do something about finances, but they just don't start. They put it off till another day. And I can't tell them which mindset is the best or how they should, go one way or the other, but they just need to go.
Yeah.
And if you don't start today, if you put it off till tomorrow, it's going to be 10 years down the line before you look at it, before you realize it.
Yeah. And that is true for business and I mean everything really. Good advice.
Scratch your head moving forward, I think, is a good way of putting it. Yeah. All right. Also, not financial advice.
Yeah.
Full disclaimer here.
We've got you. Don't worry.
Yeah. What, in your experience, Stephen, what's one of, if not the most overrated piece of business or financial advice that people still believe right now?
I would say I'm not a fan of these big, like, leveraged ETF things, right? And I think that there's tools out there nowadays that you can use for direct indexing that they're probably better for the average client. I see a lot of people, a lot of retail investors buying up these like leveraged ETFs, and they have no idea what they're actually buying. And you see it online, you see it on X and all these other TikTok and all these other places, and people talking about trading and all that stuff. right? If you're just starting out, just in my opinion, buy an index that, just tracks the market, for now, right? If you're doing it all yourself, or use a tool that allows you to direct index. Just don't buy things that you don't understand just because you see them talked about online.
Yeah, right. I think on that note also then, what do we think about, I mean, from the standpoint of, is this really infuriating to you or to financial advisors, I think, to see potential investors or investors taking advice from, say, TikTok finance influencers? Is this one of those things that you're all like, no, stop? Or do you think there are actually people out there that have good advice?
So there's a thing is somebody can have great advice, but you might not even understand what sort of conflicts that are buried there. Right.
Yeah.
So if I am a TikTok finance influencer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know I have a giant following of people. What I have with that giant following of people is basically a built-in supply of liquidity for me. Mm-hmm. So I can go buy up some stock, right? Some like micro cap. And then I can go out to my followers and say, oh my God, have you checked out this thing? It's like amazing. And it's going to go up and everyone buys it. And when you're talking about small cap companies, you get a few thousand people buying the stock and it will move in a day. And then what happens is the guy who made that immediate or initial recommendation, he's just selling to those people that are buying, right?
Right.
Yeah. And basically he's turning their money and his experience into his money and their experience at the end of the day.
Right.
And so that's
right.
With the financial advisor, there's certain standards we have to live up to, regulation, best interest, suitability standards, and everything is supposed to be monitored on channel communications and things like that, and all of our trades are monitored. So there's repercussions in this industry for doing nefarious things, and there's people who are actively looking into what we're doing on a daily basis. 100% of all my emails and text messages are reviewed, basically.
Yeah,
so it doesn't happen if you're a TikTok influencer.
Yeah, true. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Something to be aware of for sure.
Another question along those lines, Stephen, is there something that you wish more founders understood or business people understood about managing cash flow and their investment strategy from your, I guess, bird's eye view, because you see a lot? Is there something you wish business people, entrepreneurs understood more about it?
Well, as a young Series A stage company who's growing rapidly, I don't know anything about cash flow except for don't run out of it. So we're
good advice. Good advice. That's a good start.
That's the end of the episode right there, folks. Just don't run out of money.
Yes. Right. We're growing very rapidly, and we're investing in the business and investing in growth and things like that. And we're lucky to have some great investors who help see the vision of what we're trying to do here. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm a Jeff Bezos, but I mean they burned $3 billion before they got to profitability.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's awesome. Very impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. So just as far as cash flow, in the early days, always make sure that you can put yourself in a position where if something goes wrong in your scaling, that you can switch to profitability quick, right?
Right.
You don't want to be in this situation where it's okay if you're burning money but if you're burning money while you're growing, that's one thing. But if you get in a position where you're gonna run out and you can't flip to profitability, then you really need to think about maybe changing the business, or going out and finding an investor that helps sees the full vision of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I suppose we've sort of are getting closer to the end. And one of the questions that I'm curious to ask you, as somebody who has, had these massive kind of like up and down periods of, being in a really good financial position in a comfortable job, completely leaving that, throwing caution to the wind, taking a chance on this, having great success with it, but also still being in the growth stages. If you could give your, say, 21-year-old self one piece of life advice, business or life advice, but I think I'm most interested probably in your life advice. What would it be?
My 21-year-old self he was having a lot of fun. Bartending all
Nothing
around
wrong
the
with that
country.
either, by the way.
Yeah.
I was bartending all around the country, all sorts of fun places.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have told myself to start the world of finance sooner.
Right.
I would have not bartended for 6 years. I would have started, a couple years earlier, right? And probably drink a lot less beers. That's my 21-year-old self.
There you go. Drink less beers. Start finance earlier.
Yeah. My son. So I took that. So I'm 42. I have a 22-year-old son, and he works here in New York with me.
Awesome.
So I took my advice and I put it on him. I said when he started when he was 20, working for me here, and he's a great kid and he's doing very well.
It's so cool when you can. We have a couple of mutual friends who have been able to do that. Build their business. They kind of like flounder through it a little bit in the early days, figure out where their place is, and then you've kind of got this incredible legacy of experience and a business that you can then, bring your children into the fold with as they get older. And it's awesome. It's such a gift, I think.
Yeah.
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 All right, Stephen, as we wrap up, we do like to get to know the person behind the mic at a little bit of a deeper level. And we play what we call the rapid fire round. And we put you on the spot a little bit here with 10 fast fire questions. So we ask you to respond in one or two or no more than a sentence answer, just so we can really get to know who you are. So you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All righty. Number one, if you had to trust one celebrity with your money, who would it be?
Ooh, Gordon Gekko.
Ooh, what's the worst financial advice you've ever heard?
The worst financial advice I've ever heard is advice that I gave. It was sell NVIDIA at $62 a share.
Oh, wow.
Ryan.
Wow. I love that, right?
Yeah,
The guru's always right. The guru's always right, except when they're wrong.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What's your coffee order?
Okay. Don't make fun. It's just a pumpkin spice latte right now.
Oh, I love that. That's
No
such a
judgment?
good answer.
No
That's
judgment here?
my kind of drink. I appreciate that. Which is riskier, crypto, marriage, or starting a business?
Marrying somebody who's in crypto and going into business with them.
Yeah, good, fair.
You an Android or iPhone guy?
iPhone for sure.
Ooh, stocks or property?
Okay, my opinion, stocks, because they're liquid.
Fair.
Yeah. Early riser or night owl?
Oh, I'm an early riser.
You can only invest in one thing for the next 10 years. What is it?
Myself.
Oh, good answer. Yeah.
Right. What's the first thing you'd buy if you became a billionaire?
How many billions? Are we talking one?
No, one. Let's start with
That's
one.
a very finance answer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Let's start with
How many
one.
billions?
Let's start with one.
Okay. So if it was one, I'd buy some property in Hawaii and just build like a surf shop and a little restaurant.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Conversely, what's the one thing you'd never spend money on, even if you were a $1 billion billionaire?
Probably a private jet, because I hate flying.
Right?
I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid of it.
Yeah.
I do it, but I'm afraid of it. And I can't even imagine getting in a little one.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, this has been great, Stephen. This has been so much fun. Thank you for your answers for your rapid fire were fantastic. Well, we're just about out of time, Stephen. So tell us, where can people find you online or elsewhere? And where can they learn more about Stirlingshire?
Yeah, so they can go to stirlingshire.com. That's STIRLINGSHIRE.com. And then they can find us on all the social media channels. Just by looking up Stirlingshire Investments.
Yeah, amazing. We'll pop the link to Stirlingshire in the show notes as well. So
absolutely.
if you are listening or watching, you can find Stephen Woods and all the incredible things he's doing online. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
That's all we've got time for. Wherever you're listening from, thanks for joining us here on The Business Game. We'll see you next time.
Bye for now. All right, that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes.
For more insights, strategies, and stories to help move the needle on your business, we'll meet you back here on Thursday. Thanks for tuning into The Business Game.
If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay connected.
A big thank you to our major sponsor, SmoothX, for powering today's episode.
And join us again on the next episode of The Business Game,
a podcast that moves the needle.